7 weeks ago I had a heart attack, had a stent put in, and spent 2 days in intensive care. And the question on my mind is it safe for me to ride a 200k, even an easy one? Greg from PCH Randonneurs is hosting a 200k that goes up the length of the Santa Ana River Trail and back again. We're at Huntington Beach at 7 in the morning on the 6th of January, and it's about freezing. But Greg brought along croissants and coffee, which was really unexpected and very nice. So at 7 a.m. precisely, we set off on our 200-kilometer bike ride. I'm going to go behind Shy because there's really no point trying to get in front of him. It's going to be a chilly couple of miles. It's a shame there isn't a nice big hill at the start.
Oh, that's good.
That'll warm you up nicely. After hanging out in the middle of the pack for a few miles and feeling pretty good, I decided to bridge up to Shy and Dave, who were off the front. I stayed in contact with Shy for the first 30 miles or so, but I was burning far too many matches, so I decided I had to let him go. I decided to try to do something I'd not done before. When I started randonneering, you had to stop at every control to catch a receipt. That's how you proved you'd been there. But now you can just send your GPS file to the ride organizer, so you don't actually need to stop at the controls anymore. So I rode right past the control, because I had a little food with me, and I wanted to see how far I could ride on how few calories. So I ended up riding the first 100 kilometers on just half a Pro Bar. That's about 200 calories. I'd never been able to do that before. Now I had a bit of a mechanical in Corona, and several riders got past me. When I got back on the course, I found myself behind Andy and Robert. Now I hadn't been able to have much of a conversation with Shy, because when you're riding with Shy, you have to choose between riding with Shy or speaking. You can't do both. But Andy and Robert were riding at a more sensible pace, and we had a lovely conversation. Now it turns out Andy had flown down from Seattle, and he had a trove of interesting cycling stories. Robert, though, is from Orange County and was quite familiar with the area. Now Andy only rides vintage bikes, and he only puts equipment on them that's appropriate to the age of the bike. So he's riding toe clips, and he doesn't have aero bars, because they hadn't been invented when his bike was built. Fortunately, you can put a Brooks saddle on pretty much any bike. When we got to Rincon, it was closed off with barriers. We were allowed to go right on the diversion, or if we wanted to, we could go left through the barriers and take a look at what they'd done with Rincon, which is what we chose to do. Now, if you've ever ridden on Rincon, you'll recall this section used to have heavy brush on both sides, no shoulder, and the road quality was appalling from erosion. It looks like they've totally repaved it and removed the brush. It looks like they're preparing this for new development, but right now it is perfect for cycling.
I wonder what they're doing here.
If you look to the left, you can see a road. This is a new road. I've never seen it before. And what you can't see is that alongside the road, there's a brand new bike path. I have no idea where it goes. I need to come back here at some time and find out.
Oh, this is going to be nice. This is going to be gorgeous. Oh man. What's that bike path do? Can we see it over here? See anything over here?
So after a few more barriers and 5 more miles cycling through Norco, we ended up back on the Santa Ana River Trail.
Trail.
And here we are at the turnaround point at the In-N-Out Burger in San Bernardino. I've ridden 100 kilometers with only about 200 calories. I'm pretty hungry, so I sat down to a 1,000 calorie meal. Most of the time this wouldn't be a very good idea, but after the ride we've just done, it's perfectly fine. After lunch, it's 12:10 and it's about 60 degrees, so we've all taken a layer off. Now all we have to do is ride back the way we came. My average speed to this point is 14.3 miles an hour, and I'm on schedule for a 10-hour ride.
Nice. Good afternoon, good afternoon.
Now you might notice there's a few more clouds in the sky than there were when we started. That's because there's a storm coming in, and it's blowing in from the south, which is the direction we're headed, which means we have a headwind all the way back to the start. Well, actually it was mainly the last 40 miles. So when the headwind started to kick in for real, I went down on my aero bars, and Andy and Robert couldn't stay with me, so they dropped off the back. And I pretty much stayed on my aero bars for the last 3 hours of the ride. I didn't stop at the third control either, and just ate the rest of the pro bar, about another 200 calories. Even though with the headwind I was definitely working harder.
$110 miles. 14.4 average. It's 3:29 and it's 56 degrees. About 15 miles to go. miles, 14.5 mile an hour average, 53 degrees, it's 4:07. Had a headwind pretty much all the way from lunch, and I'm bunking something wicked.
Here I am at the end, 125 miles. My average speed is 14.5. It is 4:28, which means I've been riding for 9 hours and 28 minutes. I have to say, I'm feeling no ill effects from that heart attack. I'm so hungry I went to Del Taco and it hit the spot.
Robert Anderson. Is there a Robert Anderson here? Okay. I'm going to get a close-up of the goodies here. Yes. Look at that, croissants and coffee. We'll spoil it. You get some photos here. Oh, well, okay, I'm going to take a video.